The 5 Tibetan Rites is an ancient movement practice that's often referred to as the fountain of youth, and for good reason. It's comprised of these 5 main exercises, and the amount of reps you do will depend on how much time that you have and how long you've been doing it, so how much experience you have. And typically, it's recommended to start with just 3 reps of each exercise and slowly build up to a maximum of 21. And usually it's done in 3, 5, 7, 9, so it's going up in odd numbers. So developing your movement capabilities with this morning ritual will keep you young, flexible and healthy, although it can be a little bit tough to get started at the beginning, especially if you're a little bit older. So later on in life, it's going to be a little bit harder, but try out just 3 reps of each of these exercises and see how you go. I love the 5 Tibetan Rites because it's really adaptable. If I don't have a lot of time in the morning, I can just do 3 reps of every exercise. I can tick the box, and just simply ticking the box is a great way to start the day. Then I know that I've achieved something immediately, so even if I have no time, I can just do 3 reps of all these exercises and it literally takes 2 or 3 minutes. Some of these exercises can be quite challenging, so I'm going to break down each of them in detail, and I'm also going to provide like a couple of options just so you can ease into it. And we'll go through the important factors of each movement so you know that you are getting them right, or at least you're moving in the direction of getting them right. But let's start with the first exercise. This is the clockwise spin. So what we're going to do is you're going to look directly over your left hand and then find a point on the horizon, something you can really kind of focus in. For the demonstrations point, I'm going to be looking straight into the camera. So keep your hands up at shoulder height, and your eye level is looking directly over your middle finger. So keep your eyes as fixed on that point as much as possible. So as you start the turn where you're paddling your feet and rotating, you're going to keep your eye and your head as much as possible on that point. So the body is rotating and the head spin is quick. And what we're working with here is balance, coordination, and the visual field at the same time. So quick rotations. And the idea is that as you spin, a little bit dizzy, as you spin, we're going to be focusing on that one point, and that's going to try and minimize your dizziness. So the body is rotating, but we're really focused on that one point. So you're keeping your eyes fixed on the horizon. You spin for the designated amount of reps or the amount that you want to choose. You're keeping your eyes focused on that point. And then when you're done spinning, really ground yourself into the ground, breathe through the nose, try and grip the ground with your feet, and then focus your eyes on that same point on the horizon. And as you get better at this, that dizziness will subside quicker. So it's really about that, firstly tensing the body into the ground, but then relaxing into it and keeping your eyes fixed on that point of the horizon. Once you aren't dizzy, then we're going to go into the second rite. So rite number 2 is the double crunch, and as the name suggests, we are lifting the head off the ground and then followed by the legs. So first we can try this with bent knees, but ideally we want to work towards doing this with straight legs. First thing we're going to do is just lift the legs gently up off the floor and then bring the head, the chest and the shoulders off the floor. So thinking about bringing the head towards the knees and then slowly lower down. So timing this with the breath, we will exhale as the legs come up. Inhale. If that's too difficult, we're going to be performing it with knees bent. Just going to make things a lot easier. So the idea here with these rites is you want to stay fairly relaxed. So choose a variation of the exercise that enables you to really just relax the muscles and sink in to the movement, sink into the rhythm. And paying attention to the breath here is very important. So that's the double crunch. So our third rite is the thoracic bend. So let's begin with your hands on your thighs, shoulders stacked above hips, hips stacked above knees, and crucially the toes flexed like this onto the floor. To begin, we'll exhale. So we're just sinking into a bit of a slouch position, moving forward, and then we inhale, come up, And it's as simple as looking at the sky. That's all it has to be. You can move more into the thoracic bend if you like. As you get a little bit more confident and stronger in this position, a little bit more flexible, a little bit more mobile, you can come into a further, deeper bend. But I'm telling you, it's not necessary. It's far better to just be totally relaxed. You can also place your hands on your hips. That might make you feel a little bit more comfortable. And if you like, you can squeeze the glutes here, which gives us a bit more of a sensation that we're protecting the lower back. So common mistakes here is that the hips will move back behind the knees. So we really want to keep as much as possible the knees directly underneath the hips. So exhale, breathe forward. Inhale, looking up. So that is the thoracic bend. Next we move on to right number 4. So this is the bridge to L-sit. So we're going to begin in this L-sit position with your hands just underneath your hips. And the first part, which is quite difficult if you don't have long arms, is just lifting up into this position to lift your hips up off the floor. Then we're going to rock forward onto your knees and drive the hips up in the hip thrusting sort of movement, squeezing the glutes at the top of the rep. And then coming back down to the starting position. So we'll be breathing out as the hips come up, in as the hips come down. Out as the hips come up, driving the knees over the ankles. In as we pull the hips back behind the hands towards a straight knee position. Now, if that is difficult for you, which it probably will be, what we can do is just start here. So shuffle the hips forward and start in this position. And it's as simple as driving the hips up. So we can begin there. 3, 5, 7, 9 reps, etc. Now, if the shoulders are very tight, in this position with the fingers facing forward, you can also rotate the hands outwards. That's absolutely fine. Again, the key here is to be relaxed and comfortable. So, change anything you need to. There's no rules about this. Adapt it however you like. Another way is to grab a couple of yoga blocks. You could boost your hands with yoga blocks in this position. So using the blocks is going to enable you to move closer towards that hardest progression, because it's going to lift your hips up off the ground and probably help you get into this starting pike position. So you can use yoga blocks if you have them to make your way to the hardest variation. So that is the bridge to L-sit. Then we can move on to the final right number 5, and that is going to be an upward downward dog transition, which you may be familiar with already. If not, you're going to be familiar with it because we repeat it a lot through the program. So the upward downward dog is a back opening movement. It's not a hamstring stretch. So as much as other people have told you that you need to get your heels to the ground in a down dog, just ignore that completely. This is about opening up the lower and upper back. So really what we want to do here when we're pushing into this position when we're inverted is we really want to be opening the shoulders, and kind of think about drawing the shoulders back and down when we're in that inverted position, and pushing the chest gently towards the knees. And then lifting the hips and transferring the weight of the shoulders over the arms, gently sinking the hips towards the floor, opening the chest a little bit here and looking up. As far as the breathing is concerned, we're breathing out as we push the chest towards the knees, lifting the hips in that top position, and then breathing in as we slowly transition hips back to floor. Finishing with eyes looking up if you're comfortable with that. Breathing out chest to knees, breathing in, hips to floor, eyes to sky. And again, repeating that for the amount of reps that you've chosen. Now, I would recommend saying to yourself, okay, I'm going to do 7 or 9 reps and doing the same for every exercise. That is the best way to go about this. Once you've gone through the 5 rites, there is a 6th and final rite, which is essentially Shavasana. It's a great opportunity to really relax and integrate. So don't skip it, because what we want to do is absorb some of the tension and the stress, although it might be minimal, from this movement. And we're going to lie down and simply enjoy being totally relaxed. So feel completely heavy. Allow the toes to flop out. Adjust to the posture of your head and neck. And really feel your connection with the ground. Even better if you can do this on real earth outside in the grass. Breathe into the belly. Breathe into the back ribs. Expand the belly fully. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. This is a good opportunity to tune into the 5 senses. So we can start with taste. What are you tasting in your mouth? What does the saliva feel like? Can you taste your morning coffee or your morning filtered water with lemon? Maybe you've just brushed your teeth. And then we can move to smell. If you can't smell anything, maybe just paying attention to the slightly cooler air as it comes in through the nose. Slightly warmer air as it comes out through the nose. And tuning into the sight, what do you see behind your eyes? If you have your eyes closed, can you picture what is in front of your closed eyes? What are you seeing behind your closed eyelids? What can you see in your peripherals? To the left and to the right, up and down. And tune into the body, feeling your limbs on the earth, the points of contact where your weight is being distributed into the floor. What do your muscles feel like? Are they tense? Are they relaxed? If they are tense, consciously relax them. Feel your breathing impacting your movement even as you just lie here on the floor. And finally tuning into sound. What do you hear? Maybe it's the birds chirping, the wind rustling through the trees, cars, people moving. Maybe you have neighbours, you have life going on around you. Take a moment to appreciate this very moment. This is a great way to start the day. So like I said, that's the 5 Tibetan Rites. The Fountain of Youth. I know people that have been performing this for years, very consistently, and they certainly look 10, 15, 20 years younger than they actually are. And it's a great way to start developing a consistent movement practice. And I think more than anything, consistency is what moves the needle on improving health metrics, even if it's just 3 reps every day.